64 Tacos Podcasts presents Is This Song Good? This is episode 75. Bon Jovi, Bed of Roses.
Welcome to I Caught It on Audio. In today's episode, we are continuing our Is This Song Good series. The theme this time around is Guilty Pleasures, and our next song is a song that Dan picked. It is Bed of Roses by Bon Jovi. So, Dan, why don't you tell us why you decided on this one?
So, I picked this song because it came along. I think we were in 8th grade when this album came out. And I think, Dave, you bought it pretty early on. I never actually ended up buying this album, but I definitely listened to it a lot, mostly with you over those years. But so it came along at a time when I hadn't really settled into exactly what music I was, really into. And when you're an 8th grader, Bon Jovi and their sort of very obvious rock star imagery and sort of world weariness is very convincing, in a way that is not so convincing, when you're a little older. So this was the song that was like the ultimate, like power ballad off this album. Although there were probably several power ballads on the album, and I was looking at the Wikipedia, and there were 6 singles on this album, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, this one was huge.
This was the second one. Now, that said, I don't think I've ever heard the song on the radio. I don't know if it was. I mean, it was a single, so it was probably played on the radio. But
do you own a radio?
Well, I certainly listened to the radio in 1993. But I don't ever remember it being on the radio the way that a lot of other Bon Jovi songs were. So anyhow, this just struck me as being the most sort of like powerful and meaningful song possible, when I was 13 or 14. And when it comes on, I can fully acknowledge that it's a little ridiculous, or very ridiculous, depending on your position. But it still has that sort of like that sort of epicness that sort of like draws out the sort of like uninitiated, innocent, musically brain that I had back then. So yeah, when I listen to it now, I think like I can be like critical of it if I wish, or like think, wow, this is over the top. These lyrics are like managed to both be overwrought and completely underbaked at the same time. This is a little ridiculous, but I'm just like, fuck yeah, Bon Jovi, this is awesome. And Dave, I know you know this song well. Let's hear your take on it first.
Oh, this is probably my favorite Bon Jovi song. And I'm not shy about that. I absolutely love this song. When you picked this last week, I was just ecstatic. I was like, all right, I'm ready to go if you guys want, but I'm also happy to spend the next week revisiting this song over and over. The lyrics, like as you said, they're not shy. You've got things from with an ironclad fist, I wake up and French kiss the morning. And you know what? 13-year-old me thought that was the most amazing thing. I didn't know what it meant. I don't know that I still know what it means. But things like that. And then, a bottle of vodka still lodged in my head, and some blonde gave me nightmares. I think that she's still in my bed. Oh, poetry. Perfect.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I do still like the whole notion of now as you close your eyes, no, I'll be thinking about you while my mistress she calls me to stand in her spotlight again. To me, that's like a reference to him being a rock star. Like his mistress is being out on the road and out on stage and that whole thing, and that's why he's unable to fully commit to the subject of the song. So I thought that was actually kind of clever. I still like that one.
Well,
But
I'll tell you, Dave, I was a pretty dumb 13-year-old because I always thought that was weird. Like, well, if he has a mistress, how can you really love her?
Right.
And then later on, I was like, oh, I get it. Of course he's talking about rock and roll. He's Bon Jovi.
Right.
That's all he talks
that's
about.
all he talks about.
Yeah.
There's never been a better rock and roll band to be in than Bon Jovi. Because your whole life is being in a rock and roll band. Then
That's right.
I could go on for the rest of the day about this one. Zach, why don't you? I feel like you might be changing the mood a little bit here.
I'm going to be the odd man out here. Yeah, you guys should be ashamed of yourselves, which is the whole point of this Guilty Pleasures series.
To shame one another.
Well, yes, to out each other with our favorite terrible songs that, for whatever reason we latched onto, and I think I probably would be in the same boat as you guys if I had listened to it in the same mindset around the same time. And I know I clearly have heard this before because it was not like unfamiliar. It might have been with you, Dave, or it might have just been on radio play. But I think you're right, Dan. I don't remember it having a whole lot of radio play when it was out as a single. I don't think it was that ubiquitous as some of the other Bon Jovi songs. And that being said, I definitely would agree with you guys that Bon Jovi is a guilty pleasure band, maybe, because I do like songs like "Wanted Dead or Alive," but this one just doesn't work for me. It's there. I don't really know what it is. Because I do kind of like ballads sometimes. And like it reminds me actually a lot of November Rain by Guns N' Roses. It's not exactly the same, but it has kind of a similar type of vibe. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the music video with the stupid mountaintop playing guitar and
helicopter flying around the guitarist.
Right. Yeah. And so like he's in his hotel room and then they're in the studio and then they've got, Richie Sambora up on this mountain just rocking out, almost identical, I think, to Slash rocking out with his guitar and
outside of the church.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. With the pan, like the
standing on the piano.
Yeah. And the panning camera, like the fancy camera work, cinematic. And the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, how the hell did they get that piano up on that mountain?
I thought that too when I watched the video. I don't remember the video from when I was younger, but I watched the video a couple of times this week, and I was like, and the other thing I was thinking on the improbability is, isn't it? It's funny enough to drop a piano on a mountaintop and play it. What's even funnier is thinking about playing a electric guitar with no amplifier. On top of it. It'd be like clink, 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 clink.
It's not making any noise.
He's not plugged in. Nobody.
It's a total trope. I mean, you see it in all kinds of videos, but
So yeah, that's some good fun there, and I do really like the guitar on it. The guitar solos and the kind of like languishing guitar work kind of at the beginning is really good. I think it's a little too long for this type of song. I was actually trying to actively seek out the edited version, the single version, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I mean, it might have been on YouTube, but I was looking for through just like regular music channels. The only other thing I wanted to say about it was that. You guys already touched base on some of the lyrics, but I love the line, "I want to be just as close as the Holy Ghost is."
Yeah, that's what I mean by half baked. You're like, that doesn't even really make sense, and it's not the best rhyme either. Right.
Well, the first time I heard it, I thought he said "Holy Ghostes," like he was, like he was trying to pluralize ghost in a kind of non-standard way or something. Like the Holy Ghostesses. So I had to laugh at that until I actually looked up the lyrics. I was like, "Oh, that's what he's saying." Okay, now it makes sense. Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
It's a little strong, but
it's grammatically correct now. Yeah.
Well, I just remember when we were a kid, and I don't know that my parents ever said this to me, but I remember it being a thing where if you were sitting next to a girl that you liked, you had to leave enough room for the Holy Ghost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't remember hearing that when I was younger, but that sounds like a conservative
So I think that's what this is a reference to.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Interesting. That's very erudite of Bon Jovi.
Yes.
Never mind.
I don't think I ever heard that because there weren't any girls in a 1 mile radius of me, so my parents didn't have to worry about that.
There was no doubt that the Holy Ghost would not be able to.
Yeah, like thousands of Holy Ghosts are already there.
All the ghosts.
The ghosts.
They were all around you. Nothing to do.
Yeah.
Well, let me just read a quote about what John Bon Jovi thought about "Keep the Faith," the album that this is on. We had been kicked in the teeth by Nirvana, but we didn't pay attention to that. We got rid of the cliches. Ha ha ha. Right. Got rid of the cliches, except for in Bed of Roses and every other song on the album. Wrote some socially conscious lyrics and got a haircut. We didn't do the grunge thing or the rap thing. But I knew I couldn't rewrite Living on a Prayer again, so I didn't try. I mean, is this really that different from the earlier stuff? It's like slightly less glam production.
Yeah.
But honestly, is there a difference in the songwriting? I don't think so. I mean, and that's what they do best. It's super cheesy, but when you're a kid, you're just like,
awesome.
I don't know any better. This is the best thing I've ever heard. That's what I thought when I first heard Bed of Roses. And while there's a lot of Bon Jovi songs that I don't know that I need to hear again, not because I dislike them or because they're cheesy, but because I've heard them over and over again. Living on a Prayer would be an example.
Mm-hmm.
Bed of Roses, because I never really heard it on the radio and never now hear it on the radio. It's almost like it's like my go-to. I want a fix of like that Bon Jovi goodness feeling, from when I was like a preteen. So I think that's maybe why it works for me. I mean, if I heard it for the first time now, I'd just be like, wow, this is tremendously executed crap. That's, I totally get the appeal, but like, I wouldn't have any strong feelings for it. It's just a over the top, late 80s ballad is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But you hear it at the right time and it just lodges in your brain.
Yeah.
And I certainly wouldn't go as far as saying that it's a bad song. It's well crafted. It works for its purpose. And I'm sure, it made lots of ladies swoon back in the day.
And young gentlemen.
And some young gents as well.
Well, I mean, you wanted to be as cool as, John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora, when you were 13, growing up in the early 90s.
Yeah. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, Zach, what song are we doing next?
Okay. Next week, we are going to dive into the Tim Capello song, I Still Believe, from the Lost Boys soundtrack.
I don't know that song off the top of my head.
Excellent.
I don't know that one. All right. Well, that should be exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to only give you the guys the video for it because that's really all you need.
I kind of feel like these songs for you, Zach, are more about the context in the movies that you find them in than they are the song themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, but I still like them.
Yep.
All right. Well, if you want more content like this, you can find everything we've done at 64tacos.com. If you really liked it, you can buy us a taco at buymeacoffee.com/64tacos.
I caught it on audio.